When the 21st Crimson Talons landed on Earth, they expected a dead world. What they got was a war zone wrapped in a circus, fueled by sarcasm, and weaponized with jazz, memes, and banana suit-wearing philosophers. Only one came back. He was naked, humming, "Never gonna give you up," and laughing through tears. Now he won't say a single word. And that silence might be the funniest, deadliest punchline in the history of the galaxy. When the dropship docked, no one approached it. The hull was scorched black, the insignia of the 21st Crimson Talons barely visible under layers of ash and blood. It hadn't broadcast a distress call. It hadn't answered hails. It just drifted into orbit like it was tired. When the boarding party forced the hatch, they found one survivor slumped in the corner, naked except for a utility belt and a smile that didn't belong to a sane man. Gunnery Sergeant Rig Thanek. 29 confirmed kills. 7 warfronts. 1 disciplinary hearing for suplexing a superior officer. He should have come back a hero. Instead, he came back laughing. The medics tried to restrain him. He quoted a human comedian and bit one of them on the nose. "I warned them," he muttered through bloodied lips. "Don't poke the clowns. They'll juggle your souls." Command sealed him in an isolation cell in Black Alt Station. Highest psych rating. No visitors. No broadcasts. Just a room, a flickering light, and a man who wouldn't stop humming ancient Earth tunes. The brass expected trauma. They expected hallucinations. What they didn't expect was silence. Thanek stopped speaking after the first day. No threats. No screams. Just a blank stare like he was watching a show no one else could see. They tried interrogators. Psych probes. Neural syncs. One PSYOPS officer wet himself and started clapping at shadows. Another tried to eat a datapad. Thanek? Still silent. Admiral Korvax arrived on day 3. The man responsible for greenlighting the Earth recon op. He entered the observation chamber flanked by 2 guards and leaned into the mic. "Gunnery Sergeant Thanek. You will stand and account for the fate of your squad. Now." Thanek raised his head slowly. His eyes weren't wild. They were calm. Too calm. "Why does a chicken cross the stars?" he asked softly. Korvax blinked. "What?" "To get to the punchline," Thanek said, then giggled. Just once. Sharp. Quick. Like a knife drawn in the dark. Korvax slammed the console. "This is a military debrief, not a joke lounge. Earth was sterile. You were sent to recover lost data, nothing more." Thanek tilted his head. "Sterile? No, Admiral. It was rehearsing. Waiting for its audience. We arrived early. Opening act kind of early." Korvax gestured to cut the feed. He turned to his attaché. "Get me results. Or get me a new psych team. I don't care if they're from Croth Asylum. I want that man talking." Inside the cell, Thanek leaned back against the wall. He whispered under his breath, just loud enough for the recording device to catch. They weren't extinct. They were just backstage. Day 5. A new specialist arrived. Civilian clearance. A memeologist. Human culture expert. Looked like he hadn't slept in a week. They fed him vids of Thanek's past battles, his debriefs, his jokes. They told him to try humor as a bridge. The man entered with a calm voice and a printed shirt that read, "I read Hard Earth Humor." He sat across from Thanek and smiled. "Why did the AI cross the data stream?" the specialist asked. Thanek blinked. "Because the punchline had better formatting?" The specialist chuckled. "Close. It wanted to calculate its feelings." Thanek stared for a beat. Then laughed. Hard. Too hard. He slammed his mechanical arm against the table, leaving a dent. "Finally," the specialist said. "Progress." Thanek stopped. "You still think this is about jokes? You think that was comedy? Earth didn't evolve weapons. It evolved the setup. The misdirection. And when the punchline hits, you don't die. You get it. And then it's too late." The specialist leaned in. What happened to your squad? Thanek's voice dropped to a whisper. They laughed. The room fell silent. Laughed? The specialist asked. Thanek nodded. At first. Then with them. Then, there was no difference. You're infected with something, the specialist muttered. Some kind of mimetic construct. It's embedded in your speech. In your rhythm. Thanek smiled. Exactly. You're listening to it right now. The specialist backed away. We're done here. Thanek's laugh followed him down the corridor. Later that night, alarms blared through Black Alt. Cell 9 was breached. No weapons fired. No systems tripped. The door was just open. Guards found Thanek sitting on the floor, writing on the wall with a melted stylus. A phrase repeated over and over. The show must go on. They restrained him. Hauled him into the center of the interrogation dome. Floodlights. Biofilters. 12 officers. A direct neural tap installed without consent. Thanek didn't resist. He just smiled. A technician powered up the scanner. Reading stable, she said. The data stream activated. Then stopped. Then reversed. Then it began to laugh. The monitor displayed a face. Smiling. Not Thanek's. A human face. Blurred, pixelated, endlessly grinning. Audio screeched with jazz, laughter, and a voice whispering knock-knock jokes in reverse. Officers collapsed. 2 screamed until their lungs collapsed. One tried to sing. Another chanted a pizza recipe until her veins ruptured. Thanek remained still. The system overloaded. Smoke filled the room. When it cleared, Thanek stood alone. Everyone else, gone. A single line scrawled on the blood-slick floor. They studied humans. But humans studied back. Thanek turned to the corner camera. He leaned in. Smirked. They sent me home so I could tell the galaxy, he said. But I'm not telling. He winked. I'm delivering. The squad dropped on Earth expecting ruins. What they got was a welcome party of silence, heat, and a sky that blinked like a glitching screen. Rig was the first to step off, pulse rifle ready, eyes scanning for threats that didn't exist. Yet. Clear, he said. No movement. This place is dead. Corporal Dienex muttered, boots crunching over ash-coated steel. Funny, Rig replied. I've heard that before. Right before a wormhole opened in a urinal on Jorvak 9. The team fanned out. Structures towered like bones wrapped in vines. Wind carried the sound of laughter, distant and echoing, like an old tape recorder struggling to loop. Nobody acknowledged it. They advanced toward a massive archway labeled 6 Flags, Great Apocalypse. The letters shimmered in and out, corrupted. Lieutenant Boris tapped the interface at the gate. It flickered once, played a jingle, and then vomited confetti. Okay, what the hell was that? Sergeant Kale asked. Earth custom, Riggs said. Clowns and chaos. Keep moving. Past the gate, they found a town square overtaken by plant life, but the plants were rubber. Not like rubber. Actual rubber. One tree had swings made of spine bones. Another hummed jazz. Sound origin? Kale barked. Rig pointed upward. Speakers. Hundreds. Hung from vines. Each one quietly playing a different genre. One was stuck on dubstep goat remixes. Another played a laugh track synced with nothing. Private Jex stepped into a booth labeled Win a Soul! Before anyone could stop him. The moment he did, lights blinked red. Sirens howled. The machine fired a pie at him. Direct hit. He collapsed. Twitching. Riggs sprinted over. Vitals? Alive, Kale said. But he's smiling. Rig pulled him up. Snap out of it. Jex looked at him, eyes wide. I remembered my 3rd birthday. I've never had a 3rd birthday. Pull him out. They set up a perimeter inside a hollowed-out shopping mall. Mannequins lined the halls, each with crude smiley faces carved into them. Someone had dressed them in military gear. Human military. All tagged. Try again? Command called in. Report. Cale took the call. Minor contact. One casualty non-lethal. The environment's unstable. Psychological? Unclear. Cale looked over. Rig was rearranging a set of mannequins to face each other in a circle. In the center, he placed a mirror. What are you doing? They're watching something. We're just in the way. Cut the jokes. I'm not joking. The team was down to 9 after Private Vex entered a tunnel labeled Door to Tuesday. He vanished. No scream. No trace. The tunnel collapsed behind him. Left a note behind. Best Tuesday ever. No one slept that night. Every 2 hours, a child's voice echoed across the ruins. New round begins in 5, 4, 3. Nothing happened. Then came the Banana Man. 7 feet tall. Dressed in a banana costume made of golden armor. He danced into the square juggling landmines and throwing riddles. I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I? Private Hesk drew his rifle. No, Rig shouted, but it was too late. Hesk fired. The round passed through the Banana Man, who exploded into glitter and reassembled behind Hesk. Wrong answer! He bellowed. The explosion took Hesk's upper half. The lower half moonwalked for 6 seconds before dropping. They retreated back into the mall. Barricades were set. Morale was gone. Cale screamed into the comms. We need extraction! The voice that replied wasn't command. It was human. Calm. Smooth. Like a late-night DJ. Welcome to the human experience. You've entered stage 2. Comedy. Please keep your minds inside your skulls at all times. The comms died. Cale grabbed Rig. What the hell is going on? They warned us, Rig muttered. Buried in old Earth data. Wrote it off as nonsense. What warning? Humor isn't a defense mechanism. It's a weapon. The final evolution of survival. Earth learned it could kill ideas with a joke. And then it learned to kill people with them. We're not fighting humans, Cale said, backing away. We're fighting their culture. Their ghosts. Their unresolved punchlines. Another scream. Private Dex spun in a circle, laughing until blood spilled from his ears. He sang nursery rhymes in reverse, then dropped. Cale ordered a full retreat. Back to the LZ. As they moved, signs began appearing on walls, spray-painted and flickering. Hope you brought popcorn. Plot twist ahead. This is the part where someone betrays the squad. Cale turned. Who wrote that? Rig pointed to his own chest. They want me to. What? I'm the punchline. I get to deliver it. They want someone to survive, so the rest of the galaxy hears the setup. You're insane. Rig's smile vanished. No. I'm just paying attention. They reached the LZ. The ship was gone. In its place stood a vending machine with a single option. Press here for irony. Cale pressed it. A blast of confetti blinded him. When it cleared, he was gone. The screen changed. Congratulations. You've leveled up. Rig stared at it for a moment, then walked to the emergency beacon. He activated it. Broadcasting emergency recall signal. The system chirped. Rig sat beneath the machine. 1 minute passed. Then 5. A shadow moved beside him. He didn't look. Was it worth it? The voice asked. Always is, Rig replied. They'll never believe this. The voice chuckled. That's the joke. Rig nodded. Yeah. But the punchline's not done yet. And he waited. The evac ship arrived 30 hours after the beacon was lit. It didn't land, it hovered. The pilot refused to touch down, claiming the terrain. Stared back. Rig climbed aboard alone. No one else remained. No bodies. Just laughter still echoing in the trees, even after the ship broke atmosphere. He didn't speak during the ride back. He didn't sleep, didn't blink. The medic scanned him twice. No infection. No trauma. Just elevated dopamine levels and erratic brainwave activity that resembled a jazz solo in neurological form. The report flagged him as unstable but safe. They were wrong on both counts. Black Vault was waiting. They didn't even let the transport dock fully before surrounding it with containment drones. Rig was pulled from the cargo bay and shackled, escorted through 4 Deccan layers, stripped of every item, even the one they missed the first time, his mechanical forearm, made from scavenged parts and humor. The moment they tried to disassemble it, 3 technicians went blind. Temporarily. They saw only punchlines. Dr. Vallis, lead interrogator, had dealt with killers, insurgents, even a telepathic god spawn that screamed through furniture. But none of them unnerved him like Rig. The man sat perfectly still, breathing in rhythm with a soundless beat, smiling like he remembered something terrible and beautiful. "I'm not here to hurt you," Vallis said. "No," Rig replied. "You're here to ask questions you already regret. Start simple. What happened to your team? They got the joke. Be serious." "I am. For the first time in my life." Vallis leaned in. "Did Earth attack you?" "Not directly." "Did it kill your squad?" Rig frowned. "No. That's the tragedy. We died laughing. That's so much worse." "You're avoiding the question." "No. You're avoiding the answer. You think this is about weapons, data, territory. It's not. It's about timing." Vallis tapped his stylus. "Elaborate." "Earth didn't need armies. It needed an audience." The room dimmed slightly. Power flickered. Vallis checked the feed. Stable. Still, something in the air shifted, like static, but older. Rig continued, voice lower. "They sent me back because every story needs a survivor. Someone to say, I was there. I saw the impossible. But what they don't tell you is that the survivor is part of the punchline. The final setup. The misdirection." "What's the punchline?" Rig chuckled. "You." Vallis activated a neural tether. Direct interface, high risk, maximum data extraction. Rig didn't resist. He leaned forward. "You want the truth?" he asked. "No," Vallis snapped. Rig closed his eyes. The tether activated. And the lights went out. When emergency power kicked in, the room was the same, but the observers weren't. One man stood frozen mid-sentence. Another kept tapping a console that wasn't there. Vallis was upright, eyes wide, lips parted, whispering a knock-knock joke to no one. "Who's there?" Rig asked calmly. Silence. He stood, unshackled. The restraints hadn't been removed. They'd vanished. "Now you get it," he said, approaching Vallis. The doctor blinked once, then twice. "You're not infected." "No," Rig agreed. "I'm contagious." The broadcast servers activated without command. Every screen in Black Vault flickered. Footage from Earth, the Banana Man juggling landmines, the sky raining punchlines, the final message from the jungle ruins. "This was a test of your emergency humor response system." Command scrambled fighters. Too late. The message had already piggybacked across 6 systems. Laughter erupted in distant sectors. First as curiosity, then panic, then silence. Back in the chamber, Vallis collapsed. Rig sat down in his chair again. Waited. Admiral Korvax stormed in with 2 guards. "What the hell happened?" Rig smiled, more gently now. "Delivery. You asked for the story? You got the setup, the escalation. All you were missing was the twist. Explain." "I can't," Rig said. "You wouldn't understand. Try me." Rig leaned forward. "Humans didn't die. They evolved sideways. Instead of weapons, they build punchlines. Instead of fleets, they build stories. We didn't land on a battlefield. We walked into a stage play written by gods of irony." Korvax raised his weapon. "This is treason." Rig ignored it. "We mocked them. Assumed they were gone. But Earth was never about dominance. It was always about the narrative. They knew if they couldn't win with force, they'd win with timing. Enough. They turned their extinction into a setup. You made me the punchline. And now the whole galaxy's listening. Korvax fired. Nothing happened. The plasma bolt turned into confetti midair. The guards stared at their rifles. One turned into a rubber chicken. The other honked when he squeezed it. Rig stood. You thought you'd get answers. All you got was the first act. Now comes the twist. What are you? Korvax asked, voice shaking. Delivery mechanism, Rig said. A walking callback. The station alarms sounded. External breach. No ships detected, just music. Jazz. Orchestral dubstep. A remix of Earth's national anthems played backwards. Rig turned to the viewing screen. Earth was there. Not just a planet. A fleet. Ships shaped like extinct memes. One had the face of a dog labeled, "Such war, much doom." Another was painted like a smiley face with fangs. Why? Korvax asked again. Because you laughed last, Rig said. And humans hate being second. The signal went galaxy-wide. It began with a joke. And ended with silence. The War Council convened in emergency session. 12 admirals, 7 strategists, 2 intelligence directors, and 1 silent chair reserved for PSYOPs. Everyone stared at the screen replaying Rig Thanek's last words. You laughed last. And humans hate being second. No one spoke for 17 seconds. Then Admiral Korvax stood. We are being invaded by performance art. A general snorted. Sir, with respect. Respect was lost the moment a fleet of weaponized memes warped in with jazz cannons. You think this is a joke? They're not here to amuse us. They're here to rewrite how war is remembered. Director Mouth leaned forward. Every broadcast tower across 4 sectors is infected. They didn't fire a shot. They made our people laugh. Then hallucinate. Then stop taking orders. They broke the chain of command with a joke. Someone muttered. The PSYOPs chair finally spoke. It's not laughter. It's synchronization. Neuroresonance. Humanity found a way to weaponize cultural memory. The second you understand the reference, your mind links to the shared field. Korvax scowled. So you're saying they're winning with inside jokes? Not jokes. Participation. Once you laugh, you're part of it. You help spread it. So we're dealing with a mimetic superweapon? No. We're dealing with the side effect of something worse. Thanek sat calmly in a chair behind 6 inches of reinforced side glass. No restraints. None needed. He wasn't trying to escape. He was trying to be understood. Korvax entered alone. No weapons. Just a date pad. What's the goal? Rig blinked slowly. Depends on the audience. We've quarantined 10 systems. Destroyed 22 transmitters. We're fighting back. You're punching the setup. The punchline's still coming. Korvax placed the pad on the table. Do you remember your squad? Rig nodded. Better than ever. I hear them sometimes. In the pauses. They're dead. Not exactly. Then where are they? Somewhere in the second act. Korvax slammed the pad down. Enough riddles. This is war. Wrong. This is theater. Outside, the fleet shimmered into range. No weapons primed. No threats. Just open channels broadcasting static and the occasional phrase. Act 2 begins now. Union ships surrounded Earth's fleet. Orders were issued. Weapons hot. Rig leaned forward, pressed his palm against the glass. They're not going to fight. Korvax raised an eyebrow. Then what are they doing? Waiting. For what? For the next line. The flagship moved forward. Not fast. Not aggressive. Its hull pulsed with rhythmic light. A sound began to echo across every comm system, every internal speaker. It wasn't music. It was a laugh. Not menacing. Not cruel. A genuine, joyful laugh. And it didn't stop. Pilots began to smile. Officers forgot orders. One comms technician started humming. Rig whispered, "They're resonating." Korvax activated counter broadcasts. Military anthems. Tactical commands. White noise. It didn't matter. The laughter wove through it like water through stone. On screen, words scrolled across every fleet HUD. "This is not an attack. This is a callback." Rig stood. The guards outside reached for controls, but their hands froze halfway. Their eyes glassed over. Not blank. Dreaming. "Stop this," Korvax said, voice tight. "I can't. You started it. I delivered it. Then finish it. It doesn't work that way." Korvax drew his sidearm. Pressed it to the glass. "Tell them to retreat." "They won't. They're trespassing. They're performing. They're corrupting military infrastructure. They're telling a story. You're just mad it's not yours." Korvax's hand shook. "What's the endgame?" "To be remembered." "That's it. To be remembered by how we made you feel. Not fear. Not pain. Just recognition." Korvax lowered the weapon. "They turned war into a shared hallucination." "No. They turned it into a joke we all get. And once you get it, you don't want to go back. You're saying we've lost. I'm saying you've been invited." "To what?" "The final act." Across the fleet, officers stood motionless. Ships didn't fire. They blinked lights back in sequence. A pulse. A beat. A rhythm only Earth ships understood. Then, one by one, Union ships powered down weapons. Korvax backed away from the glass. "No. We don't surrender." Rig nodded. "Good. That means you'll listen longer. They're not laughing. Give it time." Then, the Earth fleet fired. Not weapons. Stories. Visuals. Holograms. Memories of humanity. Cities rising. Children running. First contact. Betrayal. War. Peace. Songs. Games. Awkward silence at dinner tables. All of it beamed into every mind simultaneously. Admiral Korvax dropped to his knees. Not from pain. From awe. "That's what they were," Rig whispered. "Not conquerors. Not saviors. Just people. Trying to be seen. Trying to matter." The broadcast ended. The Earth ships turned. And left. Just like that. No demands. No destruction. No casualties. Rig stepped out of the cell. No one stopped him. Everyone was too busy remembering. The war was over. And no one could explain why they felt better for losing. The tribunal chamber was silent, though hundreds watched from every screen across the Galactic Union. No applause. No chatter. Just eyes locked on one man. Gunnery Sergeant Rig Thanek stood alone in the center, unchained, unsmiling, unspeaking. The war was over, and yet they called it a surrender. They needed a scapegoat. They needed to put a period on the sentence. He was it. The Prime Executor leaned forward. "State your identity." "Rig Thanek," he replied calmly. "Are you aware of the charges levied against you?" "Yes." "Treason, dereliction, psychological warfare, dissemination of mimetic contagions, collapse of Allied fleets, and unauthorized psychological disruption of 6 sectors." Rig cracked his neck. "You miss performance enhancer. Do you deny responsibility?" "No." Gasps filtered through the chamber. "You admit to spreading human-derived information that destabilized our forces?" "I didn't spread it. I survived it. And then you delivered it to us. You asked what happened? I told you. With my eyes. You should have stopped there." The Prime Executor narrowed his eyes. "So Earth's actions were intentional? Earth is a theater now. It doesn't act. It improvises. You claim Earth weaponized culture. I claim they evolved beyond tactics." A general in the first row stood. "We lost warships. Elite units. Commanders are still babbling about banana soldiers and jazz missiles. And yet none of them are dead," Rig said. "Not one. They're changed, not broken. Rewired to feel. They remember their names now. Some even remember laughter. Their liabilities. They're human again. You are not human, the executor snapped. No. I'm what you get when you drop a brawler into a dream and he walks out remembering the lyrics. You corrupted protocol. I followed the script. There was no script. There is now. The screen behind him flickered. Across the galaxy, people tuned in expecting a verdict. Instead, the stream glitched. A joke echoed, one not told but felt. It made no sense. It made perfect sense. Entire systems froze in confusion. Then the laughter began again. Not madness. Recognition. The executor slammed his gavel. Stop the broadcast! It can't be stopped, Riggs said. You can't unsmile someone who already got the joke. We are a military order, not an audience. That's your problem. You forgot who you were performing for. The prosecutor rose, voice sharp. And what do you propose, Sergeant? That we all roll over and become a galactic comedy troupe? No. I propose we evolve. Not with better guns. With better stories. You are not a soldier anymore. Neither are you. You infected the Union. I reminded it. The executor motioned for guards. You will be sentenced to indefinite exile. Rigg nodded. As expected. To the quarantine zone surrounding Earth. Even better. Do you think you're escaping consequence? I am the consequence. They tried to escort him. He didn't resist. He walked down the hall lined with officers who didn't salute but nodded. Not in agreement, but understanding. Something had shifted. Orders didn't matter now. Not like they used to. He was taken to a black shuttle. No markings. Just a silent vessel waiting to fly him back to the planet that broke every rule and rebuilt the game board. As the ship lifted, he stared out the window. The stars blinked back, like lights from a distant audience. No message came from Earth. No threat. No demand. Just a card on the dashboard of the shuttle. 5 words. Encore scheduled. Bring more friends. When Rigg touched it, it dissolved into confetti. The ship turned on its own and shot toward the edge of Union space, toward the stage that changed everything. Behind him, sectors rebuilt in silence. Not because of destruction, but reflection. Soldiers wrote again. Officers debated over coffee. No one wanted to conquer. They wanted to understand. That was worse than defeat. It was recovery. Rigg leaned back in his seat. The screen in front of him blinked once. Then a voice spoke from nowhere. Knock, knock. He smirked. I'm ready.